the Rani. Mrs. Flood is actually the Rani. For real. Oh, okay. So I guess I'm supposed to be talking about the Interstellar Song Contest. It was fine. It was a decent, sort of middling to slightly good episode of Doctor Who. It's interesting that the terrorists maybe didn't get exactly what they wanted, but the fact that the singer only gave away that she was Hellion and only sang that song because of those terrorists kind of says something interesting about terrorism, right? Where it might not do exactly what you want, but it can influence things in a positive direction, which is a weird message to send, but is probably true. If you think about it, how more countries are supporting Palestinian statehood now that after Hamas attacked on October 7th. And so it's kind of weird how sometimes that does actually indirectly work, kind of. Which, again, I don't know if that's a message we need to be sending, but okay, so the Rani, right? Mrs. Flood is the Rani. Okay, it's an out there choice. Of course, people have been speculating it, but I feel like they've been speculating that everyone is the Rani, so it's not really that special. But did she have to bi-generate? I didn't love the concept from the get-go, but, it's a special thing. It virtually never happens. It's a Time Lord myth. Is every Time Lord that regenerates in Russell Davies' second era just gonna bi-generate? Is that what we're gonna do? It's supposed to be a myth. It's supposed to be so rare that no one even knew it really existed. And on top of that, we had the excuse that the Toymaker was around and reality was a bit weird because of just his powers. Mrs. Flood has no such excuses. Also, whatever happened, what is the deal with, she's a Rani, I'm the Rani, okay, great line, funny. But the whole dynamic, why is Mrs. Flood subservient to the Rani if they are literally the same person? This makes no sense. I mean, I guess the personalities of Time Lords do shift a little when they regenerate. So it might make sense that she's maybe not as domineering as the new incarnation, but this whole dynamic makes no sense because it's not like she was shown to be subservient to others. Also, the personalities don't change that much. I guess maybe bi-generation is different? Huh? This is weird. I don't know. I don't like that mid-credit scene. I don't even mind them bringing back the Rani. I don't mind that Mrs. Flood is the Rani. It's mostly the bi-generation that bothers me. And everything that happens subsequently. I think it doesn't make sense for the mythology. I think, again, the characterization of Mrs. Flood after the bi-generation is weird. And I haven't even talked about the other big thing in the episode. Susan is back? Question mark. I mean, it seems to imply that she's somewhere out there and the Doctor is somehow maybe mentally connecting to her. I don't quite understand what's supposed to be happening there, but this seems like set up for a later mystery, and that's fine, right? It's just, I can't really judge those appearances until I understand the context of them. Because if they're set up for something great, then great. If it's set up for something bad, then right? In this moment, it's intriguing, but we've seen how much RTD set up in the first season, and obviously, we're still paying some of that off. But it feels like, are we gonna get to see Susan in the 2-part finale? Or is that a season 3 thing? Because we don't know when season 3 is happening. I mean, technically we don't know if season 3 is happening, but I think we can reasonably assume that the BBC would continue making one of its most successful shows, and also, RTD basically said, we're gonna do it with or without Disney. And it's only the Disney renewal that's held up. And yet, the BBC obviously hasn't confirmed we're gonna make this, because that gives them less leverage with Disney, I assume. But you can't be setting up mysteries that might never get resolved. I mean, there will be books, there will be comics, there will be audio dramas. It will be resolved in some fashion. But surely, if it's set up on TV, you want it to be resolved on TV. And I'm assuming it will be. Again, I'm assuming there will be a third season. And if it isn't revealed now, it will be then. But what's with all the mysteries? Like, I get the mystery box thing. Also, there's the whole Poppy connection. I wasn't sure last episode if when the child was like, oh, she looks kind of like Poppy. I was like, might be a coincidence, right? I didn't check who played her. And I just figured they looked vaguely similar. But no, it was Poppy, right? From Space Babies. And now, the Poppy honey. And sure, it's made from poppies, right? It's not lost on me, but it kind of is giving me Bad Wolf vibes. Which is good, by the way. Bad Wolf and the Saxon thing were some of the better, like, mystery box, sort of season-long mystery type things. And this one is cool because it spanned over 2 seasons, kind of like how Susan Twist first appeared in Wild Blue Yonder, I think it was. And not in the actual season 1. So actually having more time to set up your mysteries is good, or, like, basing your mysteries on something that happened previously. But also, you really don't need to have 5 mysteries going at once. Like, who is Ruby's father? It's still a bit of a mystery. It seems like he's gonna be important, but I'm not sure. Her mother didn't really end up being that important besides the mystery around her. So, that is still, like, sort of a mystery. I feel like there was some implications there in the 4th episode, but we have the Miss Flood thing, I guess, is resolved by her being the Rani, but surely there's still questions, right? Like, why is she following the Doctor? What is that all about? Why was she at Belinda's place before? Actually, the whole Belinda thing, right? I guess the Doctor and Belinda, like, the Doctor heard about Belinda in episode 4, because that happened out of order. And then there was the star certificate and everything, but it seems like there's more to that. Also, the Money Flynn connection, which I don't think was necessary, but the Doctor made it seem like that was important. There's, like, a million mysteries going on in this era, and that's fine. I liked Lost. But I feel like the mysteries that we have had resolved so far weren't very satisfactory. And combine that with the fact that just constantly being like, huh, remember the mystery? I mean, granted, the Ruby thing hasn't really been that heavily teased. The Poppy thing is kind of in the background. And the Money Flynn connection, if it is important, also was only mentioned once. But the Mrs. Flood thing, like, oh, she's in every episode. Why? What does that add to the story? Like, yes, she was mysterious in season 1, and her being Belinda's neighbor in the Robot Revolution was an interesting thing, because, like, why is she suddenly Belinda's neighbor? How did she know to be there before the Doctor even met her? Right? There are genuine questions you could ask there that are interesting. But then, oh, why did she show up at the hospital? Well, because she lives in the same area as Belinda. That makes sense. Oh, why did she show up in some of the other episodes? Okay, now we're asking questions again, but does she have to be in every episode for that to work? Right? We could have had her just show up in one of the other episodes that are not set on contemporary Earth. And that would have been enough to be like, why does she keep popping up places? We didn't need her in every single episode to be like, remember that Mrs. Flood is important? It's like, okay, yeah, I do remember, but, like, she didn't need to be in the hospital. It makes sense if she was actually, like, living near Belinda, but then that actually means she met her even earlier than the Robot Revolution. Which, again, makes sense to some degree, but at the same time, we don't really know until her whole deal is revealed. Yes, she is the Rani, but that doesn't explain why she's living next door to the Doctor's companions. I guess time travel, but wait. Is season 1 Mrs. Flood actually post-Bi-Generation Mrs. Flood? I feel like that's the one thing you could do to at least, I mean, I guess even the one living next to Belinda could be, we don't really know the timeline. And I guess that would be sort of the one reason why the Bi-Generation would at least make some sense, because you couldn't do that unless she either Bi-generated or degenerated, I think they call it, when they regenerate back into an earlier form. So, I guess there's a little bit of justification there, but again, if they go that route, and I think it's still a stretch. I don't know. I guess the episode is like a 6 out of 10. It's really weird to evaluate this episode when the most noteworthy things about it were barely relevant to the plot. And again, the plot was fine. I mean, I'm a bad European. I don't care about the Eurovision Song Contest. I never have, really. And granted, the episode, as much as characters are gushing over it, doesn't really draw too much focus on the song contest part. There's like a couple songs will be partially here, and then the one big one at the end, which is more plot relevant, but yeah. I don't know. Again, the plot of the episode was fine. It was a pretty standard plot. It just, again, I guess I could point out like the weird cryogenic rival thing, like, oh, they're still in the Mavity field, which, Mavity, great, funny. This sure isn't gonna date this episode. Because it will be undone eventually. Like, eventually they will go back to calling gravity, almost certainly. Like, probably once RTD leaves, which means that the episodes where they call it Mavity will stand out in future rewatches. Again, this episode has so much other stuff going on with the Susan thing and with the Ronnie thing that it's never just going to be in isolation anyways. But yeah, I really don't know what else to say. It's a right the people being frozen. I like that is odd. The fact that I can revive them, okay, sure, fine. And then they use the cryopod, which makes sense, right? The cryopod is not only freezing people, it's also unfreezing them. And then they turn those like pod things, remind me a bit of the Senate from Star Wars, into revival machines, and I don't get how that works. But then again, we don't know how they function, so I guess it's not technically a stretch. Also, the Heartlight is like a very classic sci-fi thing, I feel like. I'm most commonly associated with Green Lantern. And none of what they were doing with the holograms really do the traditional Heartlight thing, where it's just solid constructs. Right, like shocking people, it doesn't need to be solid for that. A tractor beam isn't solid, I think. It's like a gravity beam. Actually, speaking of, you had the whole like artificial gravity thing. Why did you use a hologram to make a tractor beam? This entire episode is just a little odd. Again, the main plot of it is fine. But there's more nitpicks than I had for some of the other episodes. And then there's the whole Ronnie thing, which maybe it gets better in hindsight with what they do with it. But it was going to be that much better to justify the weirdness of it. I don't know. So yeah, this was a bit all over the place, but I just want to get my thoughts out. And if you, if you enjoyed it, then leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this, there are some on the channel. You can subscribe for more first impressions of the remaining episodes, and maybe some other Doctor Who content in the future. I have some ideas. And what's the last thing I say? Oh yeah, if you have something to say, leave a comment. That's it.